Very excited to be joined by our next guest. You guys know we love the local boxing scene down here in South Florida. We got a couple gentlemen here who are looking to carve their own path and get things going. We have the CEO from Ultimate Boxing Championship, Juan Perez, and his partner, great coach, Dyah Davis, who's also a fantastic fighter as well. Boys, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
It's awesome. Thank you, Brendan. Always a pleasure, brother.
Absolutely. So I don't know which one of you wants to take the reins on this, but Ultimate Boxing Championship, I see you guys crazy over social media. You guys look like you got a very interesting concept going. So what do you guys have going on here with U.B.C. and what's the whole plan? What is the layout?
Well, as far as the U.B.C. goes, we're really interested in trying to carve our own path when it comes to the industry. The boxing industry has been flooded with the same thing constantly over and over decades now. And so the scene's kind of been in and out in terms of, viewership and things like that. So there's a lot of money in the industry. That's for certain. Everybody knows that, combat sports. But we're mainly interested in carving our own path. And what I mean by that is separating ourselves, still parallel in the industry to the bigs, the big guys out there, but in our own shape, in our own way, form. We're looking for high competition. We want people to really, head to head. We're looking for what you see nowadays in the mixed martial arts industry. It's really about who's best and not who's getting paid or what the deal is with the contract and their manager. And, it's all necessary elements and part of the game, but we're really trying to hone in on getting the top competitors out there to face head and head and not be one of those money matchups that you see nowadays that, some spectators think it's a big deal. But the most of us out there that know competition, when we see it, we want to see it. We want to see brutal knockout, but we don't want to see a brutal knockout or a brutal victory of any sort when it's, like I like to say, like a tomato can versus a future champion or somebody who's high caliber,
So how did the two of you link up? When did the idea spark and why, how long was this kind of a brainchild? Because you guys got your first show coming up real soon. I guess how long has this been in the works and how did you guys come together on this?
That was my coach.
Yeah, I was Juan's coach some years ago, and he trained under my tutelage at American Top Team, and for whatever reason, we parted ways for a little bit. I think he was living in Miami at the time, so making that trek to Coconut Creek was, quite a mission. So he found a local gym close to nearby, closer to him anyway, and we reconnected I'd say about 6 months ago. And we started talking business, and we both loved the idea of promoting. So we decided to partner and move forward. So here we are with the U.B.C., the creation of the U.B.C.
And so I guess this first show's coming up in July. Is everything still going according to plan? Because I know Corona has thrown a wrench into everything, especially, well, really everything. But sports leagues obviously have had to pivot and get creative with stuff because normally this is stuff done in front of a live crowd. So what are the plans for the 17th? Are you doing this just strictly on pay-per-view for people to enjoy and consume? Are you going to be somewhere where people can go watch it limitedly live? Like what is the plan as of right now for your card?
So the idea is we're going to be holding in Venice, Florida, which is the southwest side of Florida. Actually, I'm sorry, it's just a little north of Naples. The capacity is 3,000, but we want to keep everyone safe. We're not gonna fill up. We're gonna keep it at 500 to keep everyone socially distanced. So we will have live viewership as well as pay-per-view streams. And yeah,
it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. We're working really heavy on the back end of things, making sure that production is gonna be of a top quality, making sure that it's gonna be a global stream. So it doesn't matter where you are. I got people in Brazil buying this pay-per-view. I got people in Poland buying it. I got people everywhere buying it all around the world. We make sure to market our fighters. We have like I said, a different view on things. You know, the concept that we bringing across for everybody to see is that a lot of these fighters that are out here and are worth it for people to see because they are high caliber fighters just don't have the money behind them. You know, sometimes they'll have a manager and the manager just doesn't pump them enough with what they need in order for us to see them. And so we're taking ownership of that in our own way, as I can see that other organizations have done in the past and have proven to be extremely successful, you know, to put that sort of motivating factor. At the end of the day, it's money, but it's money through cameras, money through marketing dollars. And that's what it takes in this industry, besides skills, in order for people to notice you and in order for you to get those big paychecks. So we're putting those top-notch guys out here, and it's going to be a big stream. And, you know, the local scene is what it is. We're in a pandemic. We want to make sure that people still have something positive to look forward to. You know, everybody's all we hear nowadays is just negative this, negative that, politics, disease. But it's really important for us to also, you know, continue to focus on the things of life that we do enjoy, such as entertainment. You know, entertainment is there for a reason, and combat sports entertainment is really big for a lot of people in the world, and we just want to make sure to deliver it if we can.
Now, Dyah, you mentioned you train at American Top Team. You're one of Dustin Poirier's top coaches. You were just over in Vegas during the midst of the pandemic. They've kind of kept the ball rolling. The UFC's they've kept it going. So what was that experience like going to Vegas? What did they do? How much do they test you? How much do you have to stay away from everybody? What's that experience like? What was the ins and outs of it?
The experience was pretty cool. I mean, I love the idea of the UFC, how they move forward and still making sure that they, you know, were able to get out and show and entertain the people, you know, who were quarantined and at home and needed some form of entertainment. Let's see. During travel, we were tested upon arrival. We were to be tested again the day before the fight, and at that point, we were quarantined and weren't allowed to come back out. So, from about 5 p.m. on, we weren't allowed to leave the hotel. You know, they really want to keep the fighters' health at first hand. So, you know, we were all very limited and couldn't do much.
What was like the biggest, I guess the biggest difference as far as getting ready for the fight, fight week, like cutting weight? Was it a stranger experience, or were you allowed to kind of roam around, you know, still going to fitness center or whatnot? How did that all go down?
No fitness center. What they did was they had one of the hotel rooms. So DP, basically being that he was the main event, he actually had the whole 4th floor of the hotel to himself. We made one of the hotel rooms basically a training vicinity for us. So we had mats there, all the beds and everything, all the furniture that was in the room was like kind of shoved off into another room. It was a suite. So we shoved everything into a bedroom. You know, we had a mat laid out for us, you know, so we can work on grappling as well as, you know, our striking to get ready for the fight.
So can you guys give me who are, when we're tuning in for the 17th, who are the guys that you're really, I know you get behind your entire card, but if you were to give a couple of guys that you want the fans to tune and see, because this is like a guy's got a great story, guy's got a great style, something they're bringing to the table that really piqued you, the reason you wanted them on your card. Give me those guys. Like who do you think are the must tune-ins for this card coming up on the 17th?
Well, we got a stacked card, to say the least. So, but definitely, if you want me to point out a couple of guys that are really something to see, we got a guy from Poland. His name is Mikhail Olis. He's up in Chicago. He'll be here on Sunday for the fight. This guy's 9-0, 8 knockouts, and he's brutal. He's brutal, to say the least. This guy is definitely one to watch. He's exciting. You know, he's got power in both hands. He moves in a way that's entertaining for the fans. He's coming for the fight. He's not looking to dance around. You know, but he still keeps his technique about him. So you know, it's not going to look bad. It's going to look amazing to watch him perform. And definitely that's a guy you want to tune in and see. We also got Armani. Armani is somebody that's going to be new to the fans because it's his pro debut. But what they don't know, and they should know, is that this kid has 20 national titles He has a bronze medal. He has a gold medal. He's part of the Puerto Rican Olympic team. He was originally part of the United States Olympic team, but some things didn't work out, and at the end of the day, he ended up transferring. So he's doing a pro debut with us and planning to stay with us for some time, but he will be part of the Olympics next year. Corona has held that up. Otherwise, he'd already be a part of it. But yeah, this kid is definitely going to be very interesting. I've seen him firsthand. I've seen him up front. Skills is definitely the key word here for him. We got other guys. They say they're, Ivan Franco. He's 5-0, 4 knockouts. It's going to be, the next Canelo. Everybody says his style, his fighting style, his weight class. The power is ridiculous. I watch this kid hit the pads, and I don't want nothing to do with it. This kid's, it's one of those things you don't even expect it to come out of his hands, and it does. And when it does, you're just blown away. You're like, all right, well, I don't know where that came from, but whoever's on the other side of that is definitely not going to be there for too long.
Is there something that you guys, with your experience in the fight game, what did you guys want to change? Like what with making your own promotion, what didn't you like that you thought this is something we want to do different? Like whether it be, I guess, the way it goes down, the politics of it, anything that just really came to your mind. Like, what is the thing that you guys really want to do different that stands out different for fighters, or the way that fights are put on for fans?
Well, the way that we've structured our business is, we're looking to less politics, more fighting, less politics. We're looking for more of a show for people. We really want to put a show on. Everybody says the same thing. So at the end of the day, the proof will be in the events themselves. You'll see it out there. But we're looking to put, competitors of similar quality, high caliber versus high caliber. We're looking to, at the end of the day, when people, in the hundreds of thousands, eventually will be looking at these programs, I want them to see that we are different from the rest of the promoters out there. There's no need to mention names. We all know who they are. And they set up a lot of these fights where it's not a guarantee, but the upset is so far out that it gives the viewers, including myself, the perception that I'm ordering this fight, but it might just be to see this guy lose, because there's no way he can lose, especially against whoever his competitor is. I mean, you mentioned the UFC earlier, Dustin Poirier and all these different people. I look up to them. I really do. I'm the biggest UFC fan. I love the UFC, and it's not because of the name. It's not because of just one single person. It's because of their persona, who they are. They really put up the matchups that we want to see. They don't care if you're Cowboy Cerrone and you got a ton of losses behind all the wins, that even more wins that you have and knockouts. I mean, the accolades is what it comes down to. You want to see somebody go up. Look at Jorge Masvidal. Dyah works close hand with Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal gets a call on a week, goes and shows up, and is fighting the world champion. I mean, what does that say? Like, how many times do you see that in boxing? Do you ever see that in boxing? It doesn't exist.
No, that doesn't exist in boxing.
It doesn't exist, right?
It's very rare.
Somebody steps up. Dude, it's impossible, because they won't let it happen.
Typically a guy falls out and then the show's off. Everybody who's on the card is no longer fighting.
Done.
And big ups to Masvidal for stepping up on 6 days' notice. Still having to cut a little bit of weight, but I mean, theoretically, he was already and always getting ready for Usman.
Well, I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Dyah, because that's kind of been the buzz on during camp week, is like, he fell out. He's like, I have over 20 pounds to lose. But I heard Dustin, I think he was talking to Teddy Atlas. I know he's been doing a bunch of media, but he was like, he's been training the whole time. That was the goal. He thought he was going to fight Usman. It was just a matter of contract negotiations. So, like, how much was Masvidal actually out of the gym? Like, did he still stick around or?
Dude, he was training the entire time. I mean, he was one of Dustin's main helping or sparring partners to help him get ready for Hooker. And when they moved forward with Gilbert Burns, he never let his foot off the gas. I mean, the guy continued training because he knew ultimately he was still going to lead up to fighting one of those guys. I mean, even though it probably wouldn't have been until November, but he was never willing to take his foot off the gas. He stayed in the gym. So when he got the call, it was only it only made sense for him. Why not take the fight? I'm in shape. I'm in the gym. I'm training. I'm sharp. Why not go out there and show the world that?
Do you see any difference in him, or does you and Dustin, like when you're talking off to the side, do you notice what the difference has been with this skyrocket? I mean, he's talked, when I've gotten to interview him, he said it's like it was all mental, but is there anything physical that he's doing differently? Because he's going and annihilating fools now.
100%. I'd say at least 80% of it is all mental. I mean, he's doing strength and conditioning now. He's just taking his training to another level. And I think that is a big mental aspect part of his game, is that it's mental. He needs to step it up. He knows where he is, his age, and he just wants to be considered a serious threat. So he's doing what he needs to do to get where he needs to go.
What do you think is going to happen on Saturday night?
I think he's going to keep it on the feet. Obviously, he has to keep it on his feet. But he's brought in some of the best wrestlers from Penn State. And Penn State has an excellent wrestling program. He's had some amazing guys from there, worked his game extremely well, and he definitely has to keep it on his feet. I like to see him keep it on his feet because that's where he benefits. But if it goes to the ground, I think he fares very well there too.
I gotta ask you, man, because you were cornering Dustin for the craziest fight of the year. It was absolutely nuts. What the hell is that like as a coach when you're watching this all go down, man? Because he is the master of chaos. Like every one of his fights is the best. I mean, I say this on my shows left and right. Like he's like bar none, the biggest guarantee you're going to get a great fight is a Dustin Poirier fight. But I mean, that's crazy, man. Like he's still a guy who he's got to fight for everything that he gets in the sport still, even with all the years that he's put in. And I'm sure you guys have all this planning that goes into it, and then boom, it's just like right off from Jump Street, you're fighting your way up, and he's highly in. So what the hell's going on?
Every fight there's always a game plan. The game plan is just take as little as the least amount of damage as possible, and to come out, unscathed, without a bruise or mark on your face, and just to be patient, dictate the fight. You got all the experience in the world. This guy. Although he's great, was on a 6-fight winning streak. But everything plays to your favor. You fought guys much higher level than this. Let's go out there, let's dictate the pace of the fight, and let's walk out of there unscathed and move on, and wait for bigger and better things. And then the first 2 rounds was, him trying to establish and find the range, and then we ultimately got hurt at the end of the second round. I got pissed off. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You got to be defensively responsible. This is one of the things that we talked about. And, going out into the third round, he came out like a buzzsaw and got right back to the game plan.
What is that about him, man? Like you're with him and you guys do all this game planning, but in a sport of crazy people, he seems to execute in the midst of craziness better than anybody. Like when the bullets are flying, he finds his spots, he finds angles, and it seems like in all these crazy exchanges, he's the one who's always coming out with the more damaging shots on his opponents.
Well, like you said, man, he's the guy who's willing to suffer more. But it doesn't. I always tell him it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to suffer at all. The idea is to make the other guy suffer, hit and not be hit. That's always been our game plan. That's always been our theory going into fights. But once that bell rings, the wild man comes out.
Nuts. It's nuts.
He is. He's very exciting to watch.
He is, man. It was an insane watch. It was funny. It was my anniversary week. It was the last thing I did. It was after we had a great weekend apart. I was like, oh, Hooker versus Poirier. I fired it up on the television, and my wife had fallen asleep next to me, and it was like it was one of those ones where I like have to do all like silent cheering. Because it was that it was that kind of crazy. It was bananas, man.
That was me at the house with the kids.
I'm sure it was. It's a wild thing. I don't even. And you're lying, man. When you were in the corner with me, are we having fun yet? Like going into the final round.
I mean, that's listen, the mentality, especially in the environment that we were in. It's quiet. There's no audience. So we want to keep everything like a gym setting. And when we're in the gym, we're having fun. And I think that's where we get the best Dustin, is when, you just keep the mindset like, dude, you're just pulling up to the gym, you're opening up your trunk, you're popping out your bag, you're walking in the gym. It's just another day, bro. You do this all the time. So let's not treat it any differently. You know, there's no crowd, so you've got nobody yelling or screaming at you or saying rude and nasty things. Some of the fans can be nasty, man. They call you bums and you ain't. You watch, you're gonna get knocked out, dude. These fans will say it all, and you got some people rooting for you, and you got people rooting against you. So when you eliminate that, which unfortunately for the fans, you know, it's a big deal. But man, for the fighter, it's like a go. It's like, come on, I'll just me and you, mano a mano. I got my team with me. That other person's got his team with him. Let's see who's gonna dish it out and bring it.
You got a gym in Boca. Those who don't know, Boca Boxing District. You're a fantastic coach. Do you want? Is there any party that wants to? Because you know you put on fantastic classes. People want to get in shape and stuff like that. But do you want? Is there any party that wants to get into training boxers? Because you are a fantastic mixed martial arts striking coach, and you do all that type of stuff. Is there going to be a part of you that kind of holds that as your hub and maybe, you know, breeds the future crop of talent that may go into the U.B.C. or anything like that?
Right, I would love to. I've got a couple guys actually come. I got one kid who's about 15 years old who I'd like to groom, and you know, possibly and see what he's all about, man. But you know, sparring is going to be the telling factor. Like a lot of time, these guys say, "Oh, I want to fight," you know. In the moment, we do some light work. You know, I never hear that guy say anything about fighting again. So, you know, if I'm going to train somebody, I want to make them understand how important it is and how serious this sport is. Actually, it's not even a sport. I mean, combat is not sport. I don't see it as sport anyway. It's combat, you know? Like when you go in the ring and you got the potential of actually losing your life, that's not a sport. It's who
war
is going to come out on top. It's war, exactly.
Yeah.
Barton.
Final words you guys want to say for your upcoming card on July 17th, Ultimate Boxing Championship. You guys, your maiden voyage. You know, leave the people with the message for them. What do you want them to know as far as the upcoming card's concerned, and what your plans are for the future?
Definitely don't miss it. You know, we got a big show coming up. It's going to be a lot of exciting fights, a lot of high caliber fighters, and top-notch entertainment for everybody that wants to see combat. You want to see all-out war. You want to see guys duke it out. You know, guys go for it. Tune in July 17th. It'll be at 6 p.m. It's going to be a global pay-per-view. You can go to ubc.live and order your pay-per-view. It's only $14.99 right now because it's our debut show. After this, just like everybody else, everything changes. So eventually, at some point, we'll be in a different level, in a different, you know, part of the league. But tune in and don't miss it.
Dyah, you got any final words on it?
Yeah, man, we've got a stack card. We got some prospects, some guys that you definitely want to tune in, watch, and follow their careers. It's going to be a great night. We're very excited. And tune in, U.B.C. Live, pay-per-view stream, only $14.99. Check it out.
Well, I appreciate the time, guys. Thanks so much. We're looking forward to it. And I know you guys put a lot of work into it, so I'm looking forward to seeing all this stuff unfold for you guys. Really appreciate the time.
No, thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you, Brendan. Yeah,
Absolutely,
love
guys.
to be here.